Alright, so we're in virtual desktop. Gonna try a different way to play Pinball FX2 in 3D. Like, even though this game's delisted, I chose it to try out these different techniques because it has 3D vision, um, which is what this technique is all about. Like I originally found it from Steam, Helix Vision. This was a program that you'd launch into VR, and then you could try to uh, take 2D games and enable 3D vision on them to render in VR when you didn't have like a 3D vision supported monitor. But this hasn't worked for a very long time. I think it stopped working because, well, sometime around 2020, maybe 2019, NVIDIA stopped uh, supporting 3D vision in their drivers. And so there is a cutoff for when drivers they just dropped it. And so I believe around that time is when this stopped working. So I had used this a long time ago, and it was, for the games it supported, it was awesome. Now there is still this, so this Helix thing is important. So there's this Helix mod. I've also ended up here a couple times when searching for stuff. There's just this is like a crazy community where they would get these old games, new games working in 3D. And sometimes it's not so much like they're making them support 3D. It's like this Pinball FX2 supported 3D and they're just re-enabling it. And they've got a number of techniques that we'll just show one technique, but we'll look at it for the technique that works for Pinball FX2. And so the part here is 3D Fix Manager. This tool, if you kind of look at the UI, they also show it like that's basically the UI here in Helix Vision, just on that screenshot. It has a list of games. Well, we'll just launch it in a little bit, but this tool is it's like 3D Fixes Manager is the way I would look at it, because it's got a number of different ways to re-enable 3D in these games. So we'll show that. And there's two different versions. I get this one with Katanga because that's interesting for VR, and we'll show Katanga in a little bit. They go about the history of it. This part about Geo 11 is interesting. I think Geo 11 is a way to the drivers that were taken out. They've like reworked it so that they can have this driver will re-enable 3D vision again. So let's go ahead and look at 3D. And there's this, but there's other stuff on here like there's the game list, but it's got a good forum. But let's look at 3D Fix Manager now. So this is a part where there's 1,300 games, which is crazy. And this drop down is what's interesting. So they've got a bunch of different ways to divvy up these games. So pay attention to DirectX 9 and DirectX 11. So DirectX 9 has a Helix mod, but also that Geo 11 mod. So some games will work with Geo 11, some will work with Helix mod. For Pinball FX2, it's Helix mod. The other thing with DX9 is that you can use the latest NVIDIA driver for your graphics card. It's not necessary to try to roll back to a previous driver that supported 3D vision for my understanding for like DirectX 11, that might be the case. I don't know if that's still the case for all these games, but there's this. That's what the filter is at the bottom. This supports latest drivers. So let's look at some of these. So like this is 3D Magoto, and it's interesting because there's Pinball FX2. I click into it, got some examples. I've got what the fix is about. It says it's Magoto fix. If we go to Helix mod, so the list changes, and it's interesting because of Pinball FX2. Now it's DirectX 9. If I go to Geo 11 DirectX 9, I'm not getting Pinball FX2 here. So I guess this for both the pinball games, they don't support Geo 11. They only support 3D Magoto and Helix mod. There's games that have no OpenGL fix. A few for Vulkan. I have No Man's Sky involved, but No Man's Sky has a VR mode, so I wouldn't do this. Without a 3D fix, so these games, I believe you can just install the game, and if you have the drivers and stuff set up, it's just going to work. You don't have to do any sort of thing to fix it, to get it to work. And these are these verified 3D fixes. So this one says, well, they have these different colors of dots next to the game, telling you like what you need to do, what you might need to set up. So if it's like, I think if it's red, you might need to do something manual. If it's a yellow, you might need to check something. But green is probably this going to be all set up by, or it may set everything by default, even if then just make it work. But what you will do is you'll hit download 3D fix and it'll apply the fix. But if there's a yellow or red, you might still need to go and do a manual change after the fact. And unverified. I think this is where Pinball is in here. I don't know if it's, yeah, Pinball FX2 is unverified. So it has a fix that I've installed. So you install the fix, but it doesn't really tell you if there's anything else that needs to be done. Verified, is Pinball FX3 verified? Let's look. It is. And it's got this hover over that says, make sure that full screen is on. So it's the manual step. So you have to go with it. You have to launch the game, go into the settings, and set full screen on. That said, we're not looking at FX3 today. I haven't got it to work yet. I've only done a part of it. So Unity games are the fixed, Unreal engines. But this supports latest driver where it filters ones where you can have the latest NVIDIA graphics card driver. So this is the list that I would go from. And in here, it's got the FX2. It doesn't have FX3, so I might not be able to get FX3 to work, period. We'll go on to the next. So we looked at the 3D fix. This is like when you select the game, you can see the 3D fix. Now there's a number of requirements. What kicked me into VR? Let me get out of that. Let's see. I think it's trying to spin up this VR part here, which I don't really want yet. The first is there's a driver, and it'll have a button here, and you just install the driver. And the other part is there's this 3D toggle, so you can toggle this on or off. We're going to leave it on now because I'm going to show that when it gets disabled, and then we'll turn it back on. Using a different, not using this interface, just using NVIDIA control panel. This part here is easy enough, I think, to work with. The video driver, this is where the list gets filtered by a lot. So it's like for the DirectX 11 games, and I'm assuming it's also DirectX 10 and 12 games as well, that you need this old driver. So you need 4.5.2.06. I've got a much later one, so I'm pretty sure DirectX 11 games I just cannot get into 3D video mode. Now there's there's a YouTuber, Your Gaming Techie. I should link one of his videos. like he runs a setup where he's got a 3D video monitor and he's got a separate PC that's running Windows 10 and he's got that old driver installed on it. And that old driver only works on certain video cards, so he's got it to where it's like it's a 2080 Ti. I think that was the cutoff. It doesn't work on 3000 series. That Geo 11 fix, I think, does make it work on newer video cards. I'm not positive about that, but it's still, you have to downgrade to this older driver version. But that would be like the your gaming techie setup is like the best thing, where you've got all the old hardware, you're stuck on old software, and then like every one of these games I think will work at that point. Except there are some newer games that start working their way in here. This though, I'm not interested really in a 3D monitor. I want the virtual reality fix. And the detected hardware will, right now it's detecting that I have a 3D display, but we'll talk about, I don't, right? I'm just in VR. I've got a headless computer and we'll talk about that. But like, this is the sticking point for me, this video driver. I'm never gonna, I don't want to go to an old driver, right? I'm not gonna stick on an older graphics card. So this is the one where I'm like, if the whatever games are cut, that's fine. I'm not gonna go back. There's settings in here. I don't mess with these settings. I'm not very good with this tool yet, but there's like, I see some videos where people mess with 3D Mago this setting to force it to side by side, but I'm not good enough to do that yet. Don't understand it well enough. The part with 3D is, I'm pretty sure this is going to get toggled off of, like, for pinball, we've been toggling into portrait. I'm pretty sure we can kill it if I try to do that here. 3D vision does not like, come on, going into portrait. It wants to be landscape. So let's see what happened here. Well, if I go into the drivers tab, it's going to see, yeah, let's go ahead and kill it. So the other way to check if 3D is enabled or not is to go into the NVIDIA control panel. And yeah, so there should be a basically 3D vision or stereoscopic settings here, and it's just gone. Now if I go to landscape, that'll come back. So let's go back to control panel. All right. So here it is. Stereoscopic 3D came back, set it up. It says it's on. I haven't changed any of these settings. I mean, I could just say max. I don't think it does anything. Just hit apply. But basically, I just need to have this checked, this check mark. And the other part you can see here is that it's saying that I have an Acer passive 3D LCD. I don't. So I have the computer that's a headless display with no monitor attached, and I'm just using a dummy plug. This is the one that is. So not all of these are writable, but this is one that I had that is writable. And we'll look at an article that's shared real quick. So 1UP3 has actually just a lot of 3D stuff on his, a lot of interesting stuff on his GitHub. But when I asked, I had to go to the Discord. I couldn't get this 3D Fix Manager to work, and he pointed me here. This has been very useful. The ones I'm interested in were side by side, top and bottom, and VR. Let's go into the VR one. So it says, how to get this working in on a VR. So you can use Katanga and virtual desktop. So I did part of the virtual desktop part. So here's a example of a dummy plug. And for the, if it's got EDID, this is what you can rewrite if it's a writable plug to make it look like whatever you want. So you can overwrite your monitor, but I advise against that, and so does this article. But I did step 2 with a dummy plug, and I downloaded this EDID, and I used this tool to rewrite that dummy plug, and now it's showing up as a 3D vision monitor. And I wrote it, and then I plugged it in, and now it's like saying, hey, you've got a 3D monitor. For the Katanga fix, I don't know if that's actually needed. If we're looking at the rest of the virtual desktop fix, this is a very good article by the way. So it's showing stuff. Now it gets down to like Shader Glass, and Shader Glass is a free app on Steam. It's pretty nice. I haven't used this yet, and it's just a lot of fiddling, or some fiddling, which makes it's just friction to get into the game, and it's additional things that can break. And it's hard to do some of this stuff in VR. So I haven't gone fully down this path yet. I did the dummy plug, and then I was like, let's look at this other way. So Katanga. Katanga is this, I think, relatively new thing. If you look at Helix Vision, though, graphics, just kind of remember this. Come back full circle. And it goes through the steps of what you need to do. So I'll tell you, we'll go over it again. Basically, it's confusing. I use 3D Fix Manager to get it initially set up. Let's close this, minimize this, and then to launch it, I use Katanga. So I downloaded the zip with Helix mod 3D Fix Manager Katanga. I unzipped it. This is where I'm running it. And then the tools, Katanga. I'll just drag and drop this over here. Come on, give me a shortcut. See, this is where it's hard to do stuff in VR. Create shortcut. All right, and then I would say properties, and the target is the exe, but per the article, you'll add more arguments to it. So the game path, and so this will be where Steam installed Pinball FX2, and then the launch type. So there's 2 different ones for DirectX 9 games. So this is the one that I used so far. I haven't tried this one yet. There's also a launch type for DX11, but I haven't tried that yet either. There may be more, but this is where I'm at right now. And it looks like it's got some hotkeys. I probably won't use those. All right, it's just hard to do this stuff in VR. But let's go through it again, and then we'll launch it of just the steps. So I'm gonna restart 3D Fix Manager. And so I went to drivers. Again, VR. Stop it. So I've got the driver installed. I don't have I really don't like how it just forces me into VR. That's a strike against it. I do not have the video driver set up, right? I'm not gonna uninstall this much older video driver. I do have the dummy plug set up, so it thinks I've got a 3D display. I'm not entirely sure that's necessary or not. And then I've got my VR headset, which is thrashing me back and forth between desktop and VR. Then I went to the game. So this case is Pinball FX2. I'd already installed it and I ran it once in 2D. And then I just went over here and said clicked installed fixed. And then since this is I believe this was an unverified one, you just kind of look through here and see if there's any other notes that you might need to do. And this was talking about 1080p and stuff. There's nothing here that made me think, oh, I need to go change something. And so at that point, here is where there's this stuff up here. Well, 3D play and view, this all looks interesting, right? This hasn't been working for me. If I do play in VR, I think it's kind of might be confusing what happens with FX3, but if I do play in VR, yeah, it kicks me in VR, but it doesn't launch for me. And if I do play 3D, it launches and it gets two images, but they're not side by side. And it's definitely not something that I can, it's like really bad 3D, basically. I don't know how to fix that. This one, this was not working for me. So it's basically, I've been ignoring these. I tried messing with these up here, toggling the different options. Just didn't work for me. But so I was just using this to say, get all the drivers set up, make sure I'm on 3D mode, and then I've got the fix installed. And then I'm done with here. At that point, and it's what effectively what this Katanga says is, make sure you've got 3D enabled, install the fix, create this shortcut, and then launch it. So let's try that now. Back, I had to do an edit. All that thrashing back and forth I did with Steam VR, it got in a bad state, so I had to go into the processes and kill it. So now we're going to try launching, since 3D is running and the fix has been installed, and I've got the fake 3D, the dummy 3D monitor. Let's go ahead and launch Katanga. All right, so that's that same graphic we saw from the original Helix Vision software. That's no longer being sold. Launching. So this is Pinball FX2 Splash. Okay, so I've got these really big graphics. So recenter screen. So I'm going to get in front of the X-Arcade 2TV centered. I can make it bigger, smaller. I can flatten and curve it. That's nice. I like that. Push it a little further back. Recenter, show and hide. That's what this is, show and hide help. I can screen up and screen down, sharpening. I wish I could tell if sharpening was on or off because we want it on. And then cycle environment is the trigger. So that's these, I don't really care about the environments. I do want sharpening, so that's X. Let's just remember that. I have seen before if I push it down, it starts getting cut off. I don't know what that's about. If I go up, it doesn't. You can't see in this environment, but it'll keep going up. If you go down too far, it starts cutting off. That's weird. Let's turn these off. And so I'm having to use a Xbox gamepad now. All right, so I've got controls. That's fine.
Darth Vader.
Let's launch a table and then see if X-Arcade 2TV works. All right, so I have definite 3D. It's fast. I mean, so this is the best 3D by far. I thought I was going to be disappointed by it being landscape. I'm not. I've got this little box over here on this side. I don't know what that's about. Okay, let's get into here. I've got these What are these? Show hide help F1. X and Y button. I think it started playing without me. Okay, so let's do a recent. I think this is a recenter. Sharpening. That's okay, that's sharpening on there. I am a little bit off center. Let me recenter virtual, then recenter table. A little off, so let me move this. What's the stick to go to the left and right? That must not be it. I don't know why my center is off. All right, it's fine. Let's go ahead and, oh wait, I'm using XArcade 2 TV now. Oh, great.
All saved.
Trap. Oh yeah, that was weird. What was that? All right, change the cameras. I mean, the 3D is perfect. I can't tell anything. It's that one little box right there. I don't know what that is about. It's centered to me now. I guess, oh, I think it was off-centered because it was wanted to use the plunger. Now it's good. I mean, this is so good. The other ones, we had problems on the edges. Like even this overlay, this UI overlay looks good. It's not 3D, but it's not, I mean, I can read it. Really good. What do I think I would play in? Let's try. Oh, there's that. That came out. So it, all right, it gave me a little text. Oh, I think this is following it. Always follows the ball.
You have done well, Lord Vader.
Oh, that may be hard in VR.
We have a new
We need a trap on this one.
Luke
Okay, because I noticed something.
Skywalker.
Let's change the camera so it's not following the ball. That's too much. But if I use my left flipper, I'm getting a view change. I think the left flipper is either U or 6. So does this have anything about numbers? Recenter, move screen, left and right shoulder, show hide help. I'm not seeing anything that's making me think either the U key or the 6 key, unless I'm staring right at it. Is there anything over here? Nope. All right. Let's try playing with this different view. I mean, this is really so good. I can figure. The thing is that when my left flipper changes the view, that's too much. Yeah, that's horrible. But otherwise, this is really good. If I could figure out I'll have to figure out some other way to deal with this left flipper. But I think if you can get your game to work with 3D vision and you want 3D, you should go for that. Target this. Setting up the dummy plug is easy. Installing the driver is easy. Installing the fixes have been easy so far. Installing the old driver, that seems like a step too far for me, especially if it requires old hardware. But this is, and then the Katanga, like these controls, I mean, this is pretty rough. If they clean up this UI, especially if I could launch the game from the UI instead of a shortcut, I mean, this has a lot of promise. I like this a lot. That's all.